Years had passed since the fateful night when Amir's life was shattered by his father's ultimatum and the subsequent fallout. The weight of that night and the events that followed continued to bear down on him, leaving him adrift in a sea of sorrow and regret. Despite his best efforts to move forward, the memories of Layla and their love haunted him, a constant reminder of what could have been. Amir had moved to a new city, taking on various jobs to support himself. He kept to himself, avoiding deep connections with others. His only solace was his writing, where he poured out his heart, capturing the pain and longing that consumed him. Each word was a step towards understanding his own emotions, a way to navigate the complexities of love and loss. One evening, as Amir was returning home from work, he received a call from a friend from his hometown. The voice on the other end was familiar, but carried a tone of urgency that immediately put Amir on edge. "Friend, Amir, I have some news. Layla's family is leaving the country. They're moving to Canada next month." The news hit Amir like a physical blow. Layla's family leaving the country meant that any hope of reconciliation or closure was slipping through his fingers. His heart raced with a mix of panic and desperation. "Amir, why are they leaving?" "Friend, her mother wants a fresh start, away from all the memories and the pain. It's been tough for them since her father passed away." Amir felt a deep sense of helplessness wash over him. He had always held on to the hope that one day he might see Layla again, that they might find a way to be together. But now, with her family moving halfway across the world, that hope seemed to be slipping away. "Amir, do you know if Layla is okay with this?" "Friend, I don't know, Amir. I haven't spoken to her directly, but from what I've heard, she's going along with it. Maybe it's what she needs to move on." Amir thanked his friend for the information and hung up the phone, his mind reeling. He felt a desperate need to see Layla, to talk to her before it was too late. But he knew that any attempt to reach out might only cause more pain for both of them. Days turned into weeks, and Amir's anxiety grew. He knew he had to do something, but he was paralyzed by fear and indecision. Then, one day, he received another piece of crushing news. Amir was scrolling through social media when he saw a post that made his heart stop. It was a wedding announcement, and there in the photos was Layla in a white dress, smiling but with an expression that seemed tinged with sadness. She was marrying someone else. The news of Layla's marriage felt like the final nail in the coffin of his dreams. Amir stared at the photos, his heart breaking anew. He had lost her, not just to distance, but to another life that had no place for him. The sense of helplessness was overwhelming, and he felt as though the ground had been ripped out from under him. In the days that followed, Amir sank deeper into despair. He found it difficult to focus on anything, his mind constantly returning to Layla and the life they might have had together. He tried to distract himself with work and writing, but nothing seemed to help. One evening, his sister called him, her voice filled with concern. "Sister Amir, you need to take care of yourself. I know this is hard, but you can't let it consume you. Amir, I don't know what to do. I feel like I've lost everything." "Sister, you haven't lost everything. You still have your life, your dreams. Layla would want you to be happy, to move on. You need to find a way to let go." Amir's journey to the United States marked a new chapter in his life, a chance to escape the painful memories of his past and find a fresh start. The immigration process had been long and arduous, filled with uncertainty and anxiety. But when he finally set foot on American soil, he felt a flicker of hope amidst the lingering sorrow. The bustling streets of New York City were a stark contrast to the quiet, constrained life he had left behind. The city's energy was palpable, its skyscrapers towering symbols of opportunity and ambition. Amir found a small apartment in Queens, a modest space that he hoped would become his sanctuary. His first few months in America were challenging. The cultural differences, the fast-paced lifestyle, and the absence of familiar faces made him feel like a stranger in a foreign land. Yet, he was determined to build a new life, to find his place in this vast, diverse country. Amir secured a job as a clerk in a local office, a position that offered stability and a chance to interact with people from all walks of life. His colleagues were friendly and welcoming, their curiosity about his background providing an opportunity for Amir to share pieces of his story. Despite the warmth of his new environment, he often felt a deep sense of isolation, his thoughts frequently drifting back to Layla. In the quiet moments between tasks, Amir found himself reminiscing about their time together. The stolen glances, the secret letters, the dreams they had shared. All of it seemed like a distant, bittersweet memory. He knew he had to move on, but his heart still ached with the love he had lost. To cope with the loneliness, Amir turned to writing. He had always found solace in words, and now, more than ever, he needed an outlet for his emotions. His stories became a reflection of his journey, capturing the pain, the longing, and the hope that defined his life. Through his writing, he sought to understand his own heart, to make sense of the love that had shaped him. One evening, as he was writing in his journal, Amir received a call from his sister. Her voice, though distant, brought a sense of comfort and connection. "Sister, Amir, how are you settling in?" "Amir, I'm doing okay. It's been a big adjustment, but I'm finding my way." "Sister, do you think about her often, Amir?" "Every day. I try to move on, but it's hard. She was such a big part of my life." His sister sighed, her empathy evident. "Sister, I know, Amir, but you deserve to be happy. You deserve to find love again." "Amir, I know. It's hard to let go." In an effort to break free from the past, Amir began exploring his new city. He visited museums, attended cultural festivals, and took long walks through Central Park. The beauty and vibrancy of New York offered moments of distraction, small pockets of joy that helped to ease the weight of his sorrow. One day, while browsing through a bookstore, Amir struck up a conversation with a fellow patron. Her name was Sarah, and she was an aspiring writer with a passion for storytelling. They bonded over their love of literature, and Amir found himself opening up to her in a way he hadn't done with anyone else since Layla. Sarah's presence brought a sense of warmth and companionship to Amir's life. They spent hours discussing books, sharing their own writing, and exploring the city together. For the first time in years, Amir felt a glimmer of hope, a possibility of finding happiness with someone new. But despite his growing feelings for Sarah, Amir struggled with the lingering love he still held for Layla. He felt torn between his past and his future, unable to fully commit to either. Sarah, perceptive and understanding, sensed his inner conflict. "Sarah, Amir, I know you still care about her, and that's okay. Love doesn't just disappear, but you have to allow yourself to live in the present, to be open to new possibilities." "Amir, I know, Sarah, it's just difficult. Layla was my first love, and a part of me will always care for her." Sarah reached across the table and took his hand. "Sarah, I understand, and I'm not asking you to forget her. I just want you to know that it's okay to move forward, to find happiness again." Chapter 11. Eternal Yearning. Amir's life in New York was a delicate balancing act between his present and his past. Despite the new experiences and relationships he had cultivated, the shadow of Layla's memory lingered, a constant presence in the background of his thoughts. His love for her had not faded. It had simply transformed, becoming a part of his very being. Amir often found himself lost in reflection, his mind wandering back to the days when he and Layla had exchanged secret letters and stolen glances. The bittersweet memories brought both comfort and pain, reminding him of a love that had been pure and profound, yet ultimately unattainable. One evening, as he sat by the window of his apartment, watching the city lights twinkle in the distance, Amir allowed himself to fully immerse in his memories. He remembered the way Layla's eyes had sparkled when she smiled, the sound of her laughter, the warmth of her presence. Those memories were all he had left, and he clung to them fiercely, even as they tugged at the wounds in his heart. His writing had become a way to process these emotions, to give voice to the feelings he could not otherwise express. Yet, no matter how many stories he wrote, the ache of his unfulfilled love remained. He had tried to move on, to build a new life with Sarah, but there was always a part of him that was unreachable, locked away with the memories of Layla. Amir's therapist, Dr. Martin, had been a steady source of support during his time in New York. Dr. Martin had listened patiently as Amir recounted his past, offering insights and guidance. During one of their sessions, Dr. Martin broached a subject that had been lingering in Amir's mind. "Dr. Martin, Amir, you've made incredible progress in understanding your emotions and processing your past. But there's something we haven't addressed directly, and I think it's important for your healing." Amir looked at Dr. Martin, feeling a mix of curiosity and apprehension. "Amir, what do you mean?" "Dr. Martin, I believe you need closure with Layla. You've carried this love and the pain of your separation for so long. It might help to reach out to her, to have a conversation that allows both of you to find some peace." The suggestion hit Amir like a wave, stirring up a whirlwind of emotions. The thought of contacting Layla, of possibly reopening old wounds, was both terrifying and tempting. He had often imagined what it would be like to speak with her again, to explain how he had felt, and to hear her side of the story. Amir, I don't know if I can do that. What if it causes her more pain? What if it brings back all the hurt? Dr. Martin nodded, understanding the weight of Amir's concerns. Dr. Martin, it's a valid fear, Amir. But consider this. Layla might also benefit from some closure. She might have her own unresolved feelings and questions. It doesn't have to be a painful experience. It could be a chance for both of you to find some peace. Amir sighed, feeling torn. Amir, I don't want to risk hurting her again. I've carried this love for so long, and maybe it's better to just keep it in my heart, where it can't cause any more damage. Dr. Martin leaned forward, his expression compassionate. Dr. Martin, holding on to love isn't inherently damaging, Amir. It's the unprocessed pain and unresolved emotions that weigh you down. Think about what might be best for both of you, and remember that seeking closure doesn't mean letting go of your love. It means finding a way to live with it more peacefully. Amir left the session with a heavy heart, Dr. Martin's words echoing in his mind. He spent the next few days in deep contemplation, weighing the potential benefits and risks of reaching out to Layla. He knew that Dr. Martin was right. He needed closure, but he was also deeply afraid of causing more harm. One evening, as he sat alone in his apartment, Amir wrote a letter to Layla. He poured out his heart, expressing his love, his regrets, and his desire for both of them to find peace. But he couldn't bring himself to send it. The fear of disrupting her life, of reopening old wounds, held him back. Instead, he tucked the letter away in a drawer, alongside the other unsent letters he had written over the years. It was a reminder of his eternal yearning, his undying love that had become a part of his very soul. Sarah noticed the change in Amir's demeanor and gently approached the subject one evening as they sat together on the couch. Sarah, Amir, you've been distant lately. Is everything okay? She asked, her voice filled with concern. Amir looked at her, his eyes filled with a mixture of love and sorrow. Amir, it's just Layla. My therapist suggested I reach out to her for closure, but I'm scared, Sarah. I don't want to hurt her again. Sarah took his hand in hers, her touch warm and reassuring. Sarah, Amir, I understand your fears, but you deserve to find peace, and maybe Layla does too. Whatever you decide, know that I'm here for you. Her words brought a measure of comfort, but the decision still weighed heavily on Amir's heart. He continued to write, using his stories to explore the depths of his emotions, but the unresolved longing remained. As the years passed, Amir learned to live with his eternal yearning. He found moments of joy and contentment, but there was always a part of him that was reserved for Layla, a part that would never fully heal. His love for her had shaped him, and though it was a source of pain, it was also a testament to the depth of his heart. Amir's journey was far from over. He continued to seek solace in his writing, in his relationships, and in the simple moments of everyday life. His love for Layla remained an integral part of who he was, a bittersweet reminder of the power of love and the enduring nature of the human heart. Chapter 12. The Unending Wait. As the years continued to pass, Amir found himself trapped in a cycle of yearning and acceptance. His life in New York, while filled with moments of contentment and companionship, was shadowed by the unending wait for a closure that might never come. The love he carried for Layla was an eternal presence, a quiet ache that lingered beneath the surface of his daily existence. Amir's days were structured and busy, filled with work and social interactions. He had built a comfortable life for himself, surrounded by friends who cared for him and colleagues who respected him. Yet, no matter how full his days were, the nights remained a struggle. Alone in his apartment, Amir's thoughts would inevitably drift back to Layla, to the life they might have had together. He often found solace in his writing, pouring his emotions into stories that reflected his inner turmoil. His characters wrestled with love and loss, searching for meaning in a world that often seemed indifferent to their pain. Through his writing, Amir explored the depths of his own heart, trying to make sense of the love that had defined his life. One evening, as Amir sat by the window, the city lights twinkling outside, he allowed himself to reflect on his ongoing struggle. The memories of Layla were as vivid as ever, each one a reminder of a time when his heart had been full of hope and possibility. He thought about the moments they had shared, the dreams they had whispered to each other, and the love that had bound them together. Despite the pain, Amir couldn't bring himself to let go of those memories. They were a part of him, woven into the fabric of his being. He knew that his love for Layla would never fade, that it would remain a constant presence in his life. Yet he also understood that he needed to find a way to live with that love, to accept the loneliness that came with it. Amir's thoughts often turned to Layla, wondering if she had found happiness. He hoped that she had been able to move on, to build a life filled with love and joy. The thought of her suffering, of being trapped in the past as he was unbearable. He wanted her to be happy, even if it meant they could never be together. One afternoon, as Amir was walking through Central Park, he sat down on a bench and watched the world go by. Families played with their children, couples strolled hand in hand, and the air was filled with the sounds of laughter and conversation. It was a beautiful day, but Amir felt a deep sense of melancholy. He pulled out his journal and began to write, capturing his thoughts and feelings in words. He wrote about his love for Layla, about the pain of their separation, and about the hope he carried for her happiness. As he wrote, he felt a sense of release, as if putting his emotions on paper could somehow lighten the burden he carried. Amir's therapist, Dr. Martin, had suggested that he try to find moments of joy in the present, to focus on the things that brought him happiness. It was a difficult task, but Amir was determined to try. He sought out activities that he enjoyed, spent time with friends, and tried to immerse himself in the beauty of the world around him. Yet no matter how hard he tried, the sense of loneliness persisted. Amir knew that he was loved and cared for, but there was a part of him that felt incomplete, a part that could only be filled by Layla. It was a painful realization, but one that he had come to accept. One evening, Sarah came over for dinner. She had become a close friend and confidant, someone who understood his struggles and offered unwavering support. As they sat together, enjoying a meal and talking about their lives, Sarah broached the subject that had been on her mind. "Amir, do you ever think about what it would be like to see Layla again?" she asked gently. Amir sighed, looking down at his plate. "Every day, but I don't know if it's possible, or even if it's a good idea. I don't want to bring back all the pain." Sarah reached out and took his hand. "I understand, but sometimes closure isn't about ending things. It's about finding a way to live with the past. You deserve to find peace, Amir." Amir nodded, appreciating her words. "I know, Sarah, it's just complicated. I love her and I always will. But I also know that I need to find a way to be happy without her." Sarah smiled, her eyes filled with empathy. "And you will. It takes time, but you'll get there." Amir's journey was one of constant struggle, of trying to balance the love he carried with the need to move forward. He knew that his heart would always be tied to Layla, but he also understood that he needed to find a way to live his own life. As the years went by, Amir continued to write, capturing his experiences and emotions in his stories. His work became a reflection of his journey, a testament to the power of love and the resilience of the human spirit. He found moments of joy and connection, even as he accepted the loneliness that came with his unending wait. In the quiet moments of his life, Amir often found himself thinking of Layla, hoping that she had found the happiness they had once dreamed of together. He knew that his love for her would never fade, but he also knew that he needed to find a way to live with that love, to accept the loneliness that was a part of his existence. Amir's journey was far from over, but he faced it with a sense of acceptance and hope. He had learned to live with his eternal yearning, to find moments of joy and connection in a world that often felt incomplete. And in that acceptance, he found a measure of peace, knowing that true love, even when fraught with pain, is a gift that never truly fades. A love remembered. Years had passed since Amir had first set foot in the United States, carrying with him the heavy burden of a love that had shaped his life in ways he could never fully articulate. The seasons had come and gone, each one leaving its mark on his heart and mind. Now, as an older man, Amir found himself in a place of quiet reflection, looking back on the journey that had brought him to this point. Amir sat on a park bench in Central Park, the same bench where he had spent countless hours writing in his journal, grappling with his feelings for Layla. The city around him buzzed with life, yet he felt a serene calm as he watched the children play and the couples walk hand in hand. The beauty of the present moment was not lost on him, even as he carried the weight of his memories. His hair was now streaked with silver, and his face bore the lines of a life lived with both joy and sorrow. He pulled out his journal, the pages filled with the stories and reflections that had been his constant companions over the years. As he flipped through the pages, he saw the evolution of his thoughts and feelings, the journey from a young man consumed by love and loss to the person he had become. Amir's thoughts turned to Layla, as they often did. He wondered where she was, what her life had been like, and if she had found the happiness they had both longed for. He hoped with all his heart that she had. Despite the pain their separation had caused, his love for her had always been rooted in a deep desire for her well-being. He closed his eyes, allowing the memories to wash over him. He remembered the first time he had seen her, the way her eyes had sparkled with life and laughter. He remembered the secret notes they had exchanged, the dreams they had shared, and the bitter pain of their forced separation. Those memories, though bittersweet, were precious to him, a testament to a love that had been pure and profound. Amir's life had been a tapestry of experiences, each thread woven with care and purpose. He had found moments of joy and fulfillment, friendships that had sustained him, and a sense of peace in his writing. Sarah had remained a close friend, her presence a source of comfort and understanding. Their bond had been a reminder that love could take many forms, and that companionship could heal even the deepest wounds. As Amir reflected on his life, he realized that he had found a measure of peace. The unending wait for closure had transformed into an acceptance of his love for Layla as a part of his very being. It was a love that had defined him, shaped him, and ultimately taught him the meaning of resilience and hope. He smiled softly, his heart filled with a quiet gratitude. Life had not unfolded as he had once dreamed, but it had given him moments of beauty and connection that he cherished deeply. He had learned to live with his eternal yearning, to find joy in the present while honoring the love that had been such a significant part of his past. Amir opened his journal to a blank page and began to write, his thoughts flowing freely. He wrote about his love for Layla, the lessons he had learned, and the hope that had sustained him. He wrote about the importance of embracing the present, of finding peace in the midst of longing. His words were a reflection of a life well lived, a testament to the enduring power of love. As he finished writing, Amir looked up at the sky, the sun setting in a blaze of color. He felt a sense of connection to the world around him, to the people he had loved, and to the memories that had shaped his journey. He knew that his love for Layla would always be a part of him, but he also knew that he had found a way to live with that love, to let it enrich his life rather than diminish it. In that moment, Amir found a profound sense of peace. He had loved deeply, and though that love had brought him pain, it had also brought him a deeper understanding of himself and the world. He hoped that wherever Layla was, she had found the happiness they had once dreamed of together. With a contented sigh, Amir closed his journal and rose from the bench. He walked through the park, the city lights beginning to twinkle in the early evening. As he moved forward, he carried with him the memories of a love that had never faded, and the hope that had always sustained him. Amir had come to understand that true love, even when fraught with pain, is a gift that never truly fades. It remains a part of us, shaping our journey and teaching us the importance of hope, resilience, and acceptance. And in that understanding, he had found his peace. If Amir's journey has touched your heart, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more stories of love, resilience, and hope. Thank you for watching.